is going on, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Pacers, your guys, Derek and Cody with you. Guys, the Indiana Pacers took care of business, winning game 4 against the Milwaukee Bucks with a final score of 126 to 113. And this was a roller coaster of a game here, Cody. The Indiana Pacers knew going into this game that the Bucks would be extremely shorthanded, some of their best players, and even lost another player 5 minutes into this game due to an ejection. So the Pacers this entire game knew that the Bucks were shorthanded, but the Bucks did not let that slow them down, and they definitely gave the Pacers a run for their money in that first half. But then that second half came around, and the Indiana Pacers just finally said had enough, and they finally started creating a little bit of that lead that we were looking for them to have from the get-go. What was your thoughts on this, Cody? I mean, they were out Giannis, they were out Lillard. You had Bobby Portis out after 5 minutes after an ejection. And Middleton, even halfway through this game, practically hobbling out there because of Turner accidentally stepping on his foot. So, I mean, what were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, like you said, we all said Pacers got to take advantage. I mean, there's no doubt, the Bucks are extremely banged up right now, not just not having Giannis, which they haven't had for this entire series, but also we talked about, not having Lillard as well, who has been pretty much their main scorer in this series. So not having him, so really out 4 players in this game for the majority of it, obviously 2 coming in and then 2 in the game. So the Pacers needed to take advantage, and that first half made you wonder, and oh man, is this, the Portland Trailblazer game again? It was just that type of game where the Pacers, by all metrics, should be blowing them out, but they're letting them hang around. And that's just something that you can't allow to happen, if you're the Indiana Pacers, because a wounded team is a dangerous team, and the Pacers couldn't afford to let it happen. First half was not the greatest for Indiana, like you mentioned. It was pretty even throughout. And the Pacers at the halftime were only up by 3 in this game. But then you mentioned it. Really, that third quarter, the Pacers started to get going. They outscored the Bucks by 10. And then obviously you look at the final score, and the Pacers were able to take care of business and win by 13. And so I guess it's a good thing, even though it's like, well, you should have won this game. You should have probably won by more in this game. But the Pacers, for their slow start, it was good to see them in that second half pick it up a little bit and really take care of business when they should have done it. And so, yeah, definitely a game that we expected Indiana to win. But, Derek, we've expected the Pacers to win games they should have won in the past, and they haven't. And so maybe this is some growth that we've seen from even earlier this season. So, yes, okay, not the most impressive win because, they were down all these guys. You're basically playing against backups at this point. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's hard to win. It's hard to win, especially in the playoffs. And this is obviously huge for the Pacers to take advantage and to go up 3-1 in this series. And now you just got one more game, and you're moving on to round 2, man. So, I understand people saying, this isn't very impressive. Pacers, are getting it easy. I mean, they are. Let's be honest. They are, with all the injuries to the Bucks. But you know what? You still got to go out there. You got to play the game. So I won't completely discredit the Pacers here. They had some issues, and we'll get into some of those issues in this game for sure. But, at the end of the day, they took care of business. They won by double digits, and a win's a win, man. And sometimes you got to win ugly, and the Pacers did, especially after a really ugly first half. They started to figure it out in that second half. So, you know what? Not the prettiest game, probably a game you put behind you in certain ways, but also you look forward and say, we just got one more game. And then, like we said, it's round 2. You've won your first playoff series since I don't even know when. It's been so long. The Pacers were last in the playoffs in 2018. So it's been a while for Indiana. And so great to see in front of the home crowd. I know Shane Steichen, the Indianapolis Colts head coach, was there tonight. So great to see in front of the home crowd, the Indiana Pacers now, riding that win streak. So definitely an awesome thing for them at home. And now a 3-game win streak for the Pacers, right? So definitely you'll love to see that for them. after really starting ugly, in game number one, the Pacers have started to find their stride a little bit. And so we'll see, man. Can they take care of business in Milwaukee to close it out? If they can, I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, you got to go out there and you got to play it and you got to win. And if the Pacers can do that, you'll feel really good moving into round two.
Yeah, I would definitely say it definitely worries me a little bit that it took the Pacers so long to be able to pull this one away. And I mean, again, like you said, it's difficult to win in the NBA, and I mean any game for that matter. And this is the playoffs now, regardless of how much help they actually do have right now. This is still a playoff team regardless, and this is a team with a lot of playoff experience. So, regardless of the guys not being on the court, it's still the playoffs, and they still have some guys out there that can put up points. So, it does concern me that, the defense took so long. I mean, again, both these teams shot the ball so well today, particularly just from the field. I mean, both teams shot over 51% from the field today. So this was both teams, regardless of who was hurt and who wasn't playing, both these teams shot the ball insanely well. So, I mean, it definitely was a game where Milwaukee never really lost momentum, because I think Milwaukee had that edge in them where they just said, we don't care. Like, we're just going to go out and we're just going to just run it down the Pacers' throat in any way that we could. And that was very evident from the very beginning, right, Cody? Because there was 4 techs called on these teams within the first 7 minutes of this game happening. Talk about the first tech where Siakam got called for a tech by literally just staring at Bobby Portis because he slam dunked because he went behind him. I mean, what the hell are we doing, NBA? Like, seriously, what the hell are we doing? And then 2 minutes later, Patrick Beverly gets hit with one because he hits the too small celebration on Andrew Nemhard. So there's that happening. And then 2 minutes later after that, Bobby Portis and Nemhard get into it, where Portis was trying to bully Nemhard, and then he proceeds to shove Nemhard in the face, but yet they give a double technical to both Nemhard and Portis, and then Portis proceeds to get ejected because he was the one that was instigating the whole thing. I mean, it was extremely sloppy of a game, Cody, and I think that might have been what was causing the Pacers to struggle early, because, I mean, this team was shooting the ball well. Indy was shooting the ball well, but the Bucks were as well. And the Bucks were, I think, getting in the heads of the Pacers a little bit, because they were just throwing hands on everyone. I mean, they were physical, and I don't think the Pacers quite realized that was what was going to happen. And it took a while for the rest of the team to kind of catch up with that. But then once the offense started going, that became a very interesting aspect. And we'll talk about the performances of the players here in a minute. But let's kind of hop into some stats here real quick. Like I said, both teams shot 51% from the field. The Pacers shot much better from 3 today, shot 10 more threes made 10 more threes than the Bucks today. 22 threes, Cody. That's a franchise record. Most threes in a single game. Actually, was one shy of tying their season high for the year. So this team was shooting the lights out of the ball from 3. The one thing that definitely discouraged me early on was the fact that the Pacers were not making their free throws. Early on, you saw Miles Turner missing free throws. You saw Pascal Siakam missing free throws, and it was a little bit disappointing to see how they were getting the Pacers for the first time in a long time were actually the ones that were going to the foul line more than the other team early, but weren't capitalizing on the free throws, and it was keeping the Bucks in the game because you weren't getting those easy. That's why they call them free throws. They weren't free today. So the Pacers made that difficult. We did get out rebounded. but the Pacers did out assist the Bucks. Interesting stat here. In the 3 wins that the Pacers have had, they have had 30 or more assists in every one of those wins. And not a single team in the NBA playoffs yet has had a game where they have had 30 or more assists. So this just goes to show you the ball movement in Indiana is just superior to everyone else's right now, which is what's helping them. Turnovers were about the same. You got dominated in the paint a little bit, but the stats, things were very similar here today, Cody, outside of the 3-point shooting, which is what ultimately propelled Indiana in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is why we were a little bit concerned, because the Pacer defense, that looked like the Pacer defense that we've seen, even pre the All-Star break, where it's like, you guys don't even seem like you're trying sometimes. Like fundamental things just seemed like they were breaking down. And so definitely they got to shore that up here in game number 4, because, let's be honest, in the playoffs, you can't be giving these easy buckets to these guys. You just can't. You have to contest every shot. And sometimes it just feels like the Pacers take times off, plays off almost, when it comes to the defense. And so they definitely got to figure that out, shore that up. But yeah, definitely great to see them when it mattered, though, stepping it up. And you mentioned the shooting, especially from the 3-point line, definitely stellar today for Indiana. And that really was the difference in this game. Yeah, I don't know, man. They've had some moments this year when it comes to free throws where I've just been like, y'all just need to have like one practice of just practicing free throws, because you are professional basketball players. Like, that's unacceptable to shoot anywhere, I think, sub 75%. I really do think it is. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous. And so they got to figure that out, man, because like you mentioned, the Pacers in this game, they had a lot of attempts at the free throw line. They had 18 attempts. They missed 4 of those 18. So, right there, Derek, that's 4 points you're leaving off the board that are easy points for you. And so you just got to figure that out if you're Indiana, and take advantage and capitalize on those things. Great that you were getting to the line, but you got to be able to capitalize when you do get to the line. But yeah, man, definitely great to see the Pacers getting it now in kind of this hot streak a little bit when it comes to shooting. We've seen them, feels like the last couple games, start to find themselves shooting the basketball. And great to see a lot of different guys tonight really shooting it well for Indiana.
Yep, it was definitely a very interesting night from the field. Let's go ahead and hop into some individual performances here, Cody. Again, another night where most of the production came from the Bucks starters, even though they had to play quite a few guys really deep in their bench due to just how many guys were actually out of this game. First for Bobby Portis. Again, dude, that was really selfish on Bobby Portis's part. And again, I'm not even talking about this as just a fan of the Pacers. Like, you knew as a player, your team was already short-staffed, and you needed every aspect of this team to be available. But yet you took it upon yourself to be a bully. And when the bullying got too far, you decided you wanted to go out and be an idiot and do the things like that. Like, Bucks fans, be angry at your boy, dude. Like, that is just selfishness, not understanding the situation that you're in for your team, knowing how short-staffed you are and needing every bit of it that you can get. Because Bobby Portis in that first 7 minutes, Cody, had 4 points. So he was off to a good start for the Bucks. And Middleton had 25 tonight. Lopez had 27. Beasley had 20. So the Bucks definitely had some guys that could score tonight. Beasley, Middleton, and Lopez, they did not mess around, dude.
No, and you're like, Lopez, like, he made 3 of his 5 3-pointers. So you're like, gosh, like, what the heck, man? Like, it just feels like the Bucks have these random guys that all of a sudden just pull up and just knock down these threes. And you're like, where did this even come from? So yeah, boy, and Portis looking like prime Steph Curry tonight, and in certain ways,
Literally.
just wild, man, how he just did that. But yeah, man, those were your big 3, and like you mentioned, outside of that, besides those big three guys there, Middleton, Lopez, and Beasley, nobody else scored more than 9 points in this game, Derek, for them. They had a lot of different guys getting a lot of different minutes because of some of these injuries, because of the ejection and stuff like that. But nobody on this team outside of those big three contributed really offensively. And so I think that was something to factor in, although it was very spread out, right? There were guys that were getting, 7, 8, 9 points, like multiple guys that were getting that. So it wasn't just like one or two guys there for the other guys. It was a bunch of different guys, scoring, but nobody really dominated, outside of those big three guys. Nobody scored more than 9. So definitely the Bucks had to really lean into their bench tonight. No question about that. But yeah, man, really outside of those three guys, it really was not a great scoring output for a lot of the other players for the Bucks.
Absolutely. Well, you move over to the Indiana Pacers here. Every single starter had double-digit points tonight, and even Obi Toppin coming off the bench also had double-digit points once again. He's done a really great job. Let's go ahead and talk about some of them here. Pascal Siakam, we'll just go down to starters here, Cody. Pascal Siakam, again, a second night in a row where offensively just kind of struggled, just didn't quite have the offensive impact that he typically has, but did have 13 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. So, I mean, this guy did a little bit of everything today, even if he didn't get the offense going. Naismith, I mean, again, played some great defense today. He did everything he could to try to slow down Middleton, even though that's nearly impossible. He had 13 points, shot 50% from the field, 3 rebounds, an assist, and 2 blocks. Nembhard had a couple of really good series there, especially in that third quarter, Cody. Had like 6 points in a row for the Indiana Pacers. 15, 3, and 9 had the leading assists today for the Pacers. The two big players of the night, Cody, and this is where it starts getting fun to talk about. Tyrese Halliburton, 32 minutes tonight, 24 points, his most points of the series so far, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, shot 50% from the field, 5 of 12 from 3. I mean, Halliburton had that series in the third quarter where he was just spotting up from 3. He didn't score a ton tonight, but those points came at such pivotal moments to try and give the Pacers a little bit of light, just a little bit of energy to finally get them going. But the main guy tonight, Miles Turner, once again proving he is him. 29 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, shot over 60% from the field, 7 of 9 from 3, Cody, and had that posterizing dunk over Brook Lopez. Just seemed like every time he touched the ball tonight, Cody, just felt like something magical happened. And it was just really fun to watch if you were an Indiana Pacers fan there.
Miles, man, has been so good this series. I mean, so good this series for the Indiana Pacers. And like you said, Derek, tonight, 7 threes, which is a playoff career high for him. So, Derek, this is the last 3 games for Miles Turner in this series. 22 points, 29 points, and 29 points again. So Miles Turner continuing to just absolutely play lights out, and the crowd was getting into it tonight. It was definitely fun to see, and he was eating it up, man, and he was performing well, responding well, and yeah, you can't obviously not talk about that dunk, man. That's impressive right there for Miles Turner, and just great to see him rising to the occasion here in this game and really probably giving Indiana the juice they needed, man, when it came down to it, and helping them kind of secure that victory. And really, in that fourth quarter, it felt like, kind of making sure to kind of put that nail in the coffin for this game for Indiana. So, yeah, Miles Turner, man, this year he has been so good at shooting the basketball. Yeah. He has obviously put in a ton of work, from even last year, and it's showing, man. Miles Turner is continuing to shoot the lights out, from everywhere. You talk about, how many times you say a center hits, even 50% from beyond the arc, But
Yeah.
Miles Turner, like you mentioned, 7 of 9 tonight. So absolutely phenomenal. Miles Turner, obviously, he can post your eyes guys up, but he can shoot it from beyond the arc. And that's so valuable for Indiana. Obviously, the highest scoring offense in the NBA, Miles Turner, a big reason for that. So
Mhm.
he has definitely just been on a mission this series, Derek, to take care of business and make sure that he helps propel Indiana into round 2. Fantastic game from Miles tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy the story of Miles Turner over the last several years. His name's been brought up in trade rumors so many times. And now he finally gets a chance to, go into a playoff series with this young core. And he has just established himself as the center of the future for this team. I mean, he just is such a phenomenal player. Like you said, this year, has just been so much more dominant. He's been better at shooting the ball, better at establishing his presence underneath. And, performances like this, I mean, the 3 wins that the Pacers have had over the Milwaukee Bucks, you're right. He has taken over and he's just established himself in that. And it's just been so awesome to watch. Another great game here from the Indiana Pacers. Looking forward real quick here, Cody. Pacers now hold a 3-1 lead over the Bucks. You now have that freedom almost where it's kind of like, hey, we're going back into Milwaukee now. But you know what they say about a lot of teams that have gone 3-1, very rarely. I mean, it's like a 1 or 2, it's like a 2% chance at this point that teams that go down 3-1 ever have a chance to actually come back from this. And of course, the Pacers have played the Bucks 9 times this year, Cody. 7 wins in that span of time. I mean, how confident are you with the Pacers going into these final few games here to be able to pull this last one out and be able to end up making it to the second round here?
I think very confident. And this will be a very intriguing place for the Pacers to be, because this was the type of game that the Pacers this season have lost. So, you just got to say, like, can the Pacers close it out in Milwaukee? You won't have your home crowd behind you this time, but that's what it's going to take, man, to potentially go on a run here. So, so the Pacers got to take care of business, even though, yes, you're up 3-1, still can't take the foot off the gas, man. You got to do what it takes to ensure that you just avoid that at all costs. Don't even give the Bucks a chance in this. Send them home right away here in game number 5. So, I mean, I feel very confident about it, but at the same time, the Pacers have to play every single game with that urgency. They cannot let their foot off the gas for even 1 second because, like we said, you can lose any game in the NBA and really in professional sports. I mean, these guys still are professionals. So you can still lose if you get comfortable. So the Pacers can't afford to get comfortable. I think they need to continue to play like they played, Derek, honestly, when they were down 0-1. Just play with that sense of urgency. That's what you got to do if you're the Indiana Pacers. And so definitely think they have a good chance here to advance into round 2. I believe they'd play the Knicks if it came down to it, most likely. And that's obviously a very talented team over there. So the Pacers got to take care of business here in game number 5 and in this series and not even give the Bucks a fighting chance here. And again, we talked about it. Bucks extremely banged up right now. Pacers got to take advantage. They just got to finish this thing out and keep moving forward into round number 2.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts on this. Pacers with a 3-1 lead over the Bucks. Can they close it out in Milwaukee here in the next couple days? But thank you guys so much for all the support. And as always, guys, go Pacers.